And honored guests. Tonight, I'm going to give all of you a whirlwind tour around the beautiful and majestic Lake Superior, referred to by the Native Americans in this region as Kichigumi, French settlers as Lac Superieur, and all of us here at 1810, Lake Superior. Now, how many here have been to Lake Superior? Okay, Janelle. Okay, we got a few. Great. Well then, for most of you who haven't, Lake Superior is located right here. It's the most northern lake of all the Great Lakes, and here we are in beautiful sunny Florida. To give you a little more perspective on the lake, it is by far the largest of all the Great Lakes. It covers over 31,000 square feet or square miles, roughly the size of Maine. It is wide as going from Tampa Toastmasters 1810 to Savannah, Georgia, 350 miles. It contains over 2,700 miles of coastline, and it is a deep lake, over 1,300 feet. And it contains a total of 3 quadrillion gallons. That's the estimate, or 10% of the world's fresh water. And it's a balmy 45 degrees Fahrenheit year-round. You can't beat it. It's beautiful for swimming in. Just to give a little perspective here at home, here's Lake Superior superimposed over the state of Florida. You can see it's quite massive. It's half the size of the state of Florida. If you want to have a global perspective, look at North and South America. If Lake Superior were flooded today, we'd all be a foot underwater. All of North and South America would be inundated with water. Now, where are we going to go tonight? Well, first, oh yes, let me get to the important part. There are no pirates in Lake Superior. This is going to be a safe journey. Don't worry, no fears. So we're going to start off tonight in my hometown of Marquette, Michigan, located along the south shore of Lake Superior. Marquette, in my opinion, is the most beautiful town on Lake Superior. So we're going to start there. Marquette is around 25,000 in population. It's a small town in a hilly environment. But what makes Marquette so special is that it has miles of soft sandy beaches, and at the same time, a beautiful park called Presque Isle Park that's 350 acres of rugged coastline. Now, I'm going to share with you a few pictures of Marquette. Let's move a little slow motion. Okay, here's just an overview. As you can see, Marquette is a very hilly town. This is taken on top of an 800-foot hill south of the city. Wonderful shoreline, great place to visit, pristine environment. And this is one of two basically inner harbors that they have in Marquette. And here's the lovely Presque Isle Park in the summer and in the winter. There is a winter that's probably 5 months long at least. So keep that in mind. Come in the summer. Another scene from along the lake. And this is, again, Presque Isle Park. Beautiful place. And there are even surfers in Marquette, believe it or not, in the balmy 45-degree water. So from Marquette, then we're going to head 100 miles to the Keweenaw Peninsula, and we're going to take a ferry to Isle Royale National Park. Isle Royale has been a national park since 1940 and is by far the largest island in Lake Superior. It's 45 by 9 miles. There are no permanent human inhabitants, but there are 600 moose and over 25 wolves that like to hunt the moose. And the only way you can get to Isle Royale is by float plane or ferry from the United States or Canada. Here's our ferry. We're going to head to the island right now. On the way, we're going to pass this beautiful lighthouse, which marks your approach to the island. And this is just a typical scene around the island. Beautiful, pristine place, but very rugged and rough. A lot of northwest winds, so we're in for a rough ride. And this is a typical resident that you'll see when you're on the island. Cool. Now next we're going to take a jaunt by ferry back to the Upper Peninsula, and we're going to go to Wisconsin. We're going to visit the Apostle Islands of Wisconsin, a chain of 22 islands right near the shoreline, once inhabited by the Lake Superior Chippewa Indians, and today there is even still some residents that live on one of the islands, Madeline Island. It's really a great kayakers and boaters paradise if you ever get a chance. And this is this is the chain of islands right here. And here's some pictures that show you. It's a very diverse place. You got a sandy beach with a rugged coastline, kayakers paradise, and you even have a lot of caves that are great for boaters and kayakers alike. And there's even an airstrip, like I mentioned, not this island, but I think it's this island right here, where you can, if you do have a private plane, you can fly into one of the islands. So from the Apostle Islands, we're going to go next to the beautiful North Shore. I think it's the most spectacular part of Lake Superior. From Duluth, Minnesota, all the way to Thunder Bay. It's a 175-mile journey that you'll never forget. rocky cliffs, rugged beach front, all formed from the glaciers of the Ice Age. And here are some scenes that you'll see along the lake. Magnificent, picturesque beauty. And this is the famous Split Rock Lighthouse in Minnesota along the way. A nice beautiful sunset. And like I mentioned, it's a very rugged environment. There are a series of tunnels you actually have to drive through. It's almost like being out west. At least a half a dozen tunnels along the way in Minnesota to Ontario. So now that we've traveled the North Shore, we're now going to go to Pequawska National Park. This is by far the most isolated part of Lake Superior. Very few inhabitants. It's the kind of place that you visit and you'll be by yourself more than likely 9 times out of 10. It's Ontario's only wilderness park. Covers over 1,800 square kilometers and is halfway literally between Sault Ste. Marie and Thunder Bay in the middle of nowhere. But it is famous for its beauty and especially its waterfalls. This is a typical scene. When you do get the opportunity for a beautiful day at the beach in that 45-degree water, you'll see a setting like this with virtually no one around. You'll be by yourself. And this is one of the waterfalls that you can come across, especially if you're kayaking. And this is the granddaddy waterfall of the Umbata Falls, and it literally flows right into the lake. Just a gorgeous waterfall. And so from Pequawska, we're now going to go all the way to Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. A very desolate journey, but once you do get to the Sioux Locks, you'll be surprised to know that this is one of the great wonders of the world. It is the most busiest waterway traffic system on Earth. 4 locks in America and 1 lock in Canada were constructed in the 1800s to enable ships to pass from Lake Superior to the other Great Lakes, or vice versa. Lake Superior is about 7 feet higher in elevation than the other Great Lakes, and so hence they were basically waterfalls and rapids until they tamed this area in order for ships to pass. And today there are around 10,000 ships that actually pass through the locks. And just to give you a little depiction of the locks, this is an aerial. Here are the 4 locks juxtaposed in the American side, and here's the one in the Canadian side. And there's a viewing deck where you can view boats like this, giant ore boats that pass through the locks. These boats are likely coming from Duluth, Thunder Bay, Marquette, shipping tons and tons of iron ore from the Mesabi Range of Minnesota. Here's another giant ship passing through the locks, and this is what one of the locks looks like inside. And this next slide will give you a better view as well from the viewing deck that visitors can have. And this will give you a quick overview of how it works. I jumped the gun. The ship normally comes here. The water level sinks. Okay, well, we don't have enough time, so what happens is the ship goes in at the water level, and then it sinks, and then the ship then passes through when the water is lowered. The Grand Sable Dunes are one of our last visits. Pronounced Sable, not Sable. These banks are up to 270 feet high, literally in the middle of nowhere along the lake. And when you get to the Sable Dunes, you view this majestic, picturesque scene. Amazing sight to behold.
Looks like Sailor
And finally, I know I'm running out of time, this is the most beautiful place to visit in all of Lake Superior, in my opinion. Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore. Over 15 miles of colorful sandstone cliffs, some 200 to 300 feet tall. Best viewed by boat, though, by tour boat. And these are some of the pictures, I'll quickly go through them, that you'll see on a boat tour. This is Spray Falls. It's a wonderful place to visit, all by boat. This is Minor Castle, the most famous scene. And so that brings my quick Fast and Furious tour to conclusion. I hope you get the opportunity in your lifetime to visit Lake Superior. It's a wonderful place. Mr. Toastmaster.